Welcome to Ask the Tech Coach, brought to you by the TeacherCast Educational Network. If you are in charge of professional development and looking to build an innovative digital learning experience, this is the podcast for you. Join us each week as we uncover strategies that tech coaches are using to drive their digital transformations one classroom at a time. And now for your host, with over 2 decades of experience working with tech coaches and ed tech companies from all around the world, Jeff Bradbury.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the TeacherCast Educational Network. My name is Jeff Bradbury. Thank you so much for joining us today and making TeacherCast your home for professional development. This is Ask the Tech Coach podcast. Not only that, it is our bonus show. Welcome to episode number 94A. But that's okay. Today we're going to be talking all about the Google Educator Groups, the GEGs. They are here. They are back. They are doing some amazing things. And I have 2 awesome guests to talk all about what's happening with the GEGs and how you guys can be a part of them and bring this amazing professional learning community into your area, into your state, and most importantly, into your school district. Before I bring on our guest today, we have some great news. There are so many things happening over at the Ask the Tech Coach and the TeacherCast Tech Coaching Network. You can, of course, find all this stuff over on AskTheTechCoach.com. We do our Wednesday meetings. We do every single Wednesday now. We're doing our roundtable meetings at 8:30 Eastern. If you're interested in being a part of that, check out all the links over on AskTheTechCoach.com. And of course, you can find us and subscribe to us on Twitter at AskTheTechCoach. We would love to hear from you guys. If you're a brand new tech coach, someone who's been in the field for a long time, or just have questions about how to do great professional development, this is that podcast for you, coming to you every single Monday. And throughout the week, we're going to be broadcasting our Tech Coach Live. Thank you guys for making TeacherCast your home for professional development. I want to bring on my 2 guests today. They are amazing educators, great friends, and they are a big part of this new Google Education Group revolution that's happening. I want to bring on today Melissa Summerfield and Stephanie Howell. How are you today? Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having us, Jeff.
Yes, thanks for having us.
It is so great. Melissa, I think I said your name wrong. Summerford. I apologize for all of that. Ladies, how are you tonight?
I'm doing good.
Me
It's
too.
finally summer. We got through COVID and like all of the remote learning and helping teachers. And now they're done for the summer. I'm not, but that's okay.
You know, I'm glad that you said that. There's a lot of these teachers out there that are saying, we're done. We're ready for the next thing. What's next? And I know here at TeacherCast, we're looking forward to launching a lot of great stuff, not only in the tech coaching field, but in the branding and in the podcasting. But, you know, I'm excited to see that these Google Education Groups are here. I'm starting my 2nd Google Education Group in Connecticut. I'm having a good time with that. Spent 9 years working on the one in New Jersey. But Steph, I want to bring you in here because you recently, you had a problem. You said, I've never heard of a Google Education Group and I want to do something. Tell us a little bit about your story. What did you do? And what are these Google Education Groups we're speaking about today?
Well, first off, the reason I found out about Google Educator Groups was when I was in Sydney, Australia for the Google Innovator Academy. And this is an amazing academy. If you've never gone, you need to apply. It completely changed my life. I didn't realize I needed people like the way that Google connected you with all these different amazing educators. So I'm an admin and I'm pretty young. I'm only 29. And so a lot of other admin or principals, you know, tech directors, and they're all a little bit older than me and they're like 40s or older. And I had a hard time connecting with different educators that kind of got it. So this was a way for me to grow my PLN, so personal learning network, is through these Google groups. So I went to Australia and finished that. And at the end, they had an energizer and they were talking about these Google groups because they were trying to grow them in Australia. And I'm like, I don't even know what this is. And it was kind of sad to say that because Ohio actually has a really good one run by Eric Kurtz. And I had no idea. And so I was talking to Swan, the Googler, afterwards. And I was just like, how do I start this? Like, what do I even need to do? So I came home from the Google Innovator Academy and I started to research and I started to attend meetings and I emailed Eric and I said, can I help you get connected? And start our GEG in Ohio. And he was like, yes, I can't do this alone. And that's what GEG is all about. It's not being isolated and alone. It's working with a group of people to grow the community. And so from there, I had a lot of people coming to me with questions about how do I start this GEG in my area? Because they were coming to the Ohio meetings, because it's not just locked down to Ohio. It's for anybody that wants to learn. And I didn't have any idea because I was so lucky to have Eric, but I wanted to help these educators create their own groups. And so by doing that, we did different launches and we did different ways to communicate. We looked at Mary Marzano. She is in Asia, and she came up with like this social media way of communicating with people and tracking your tweets to know when to reach different people. So we've been using a lot of different research just to get people's attention on what they need. And from there, we decided, let's build this big group and bring all the little local groups together to make one big global group. So we have people from the UK, we have people from Egypt, we've got people from everywhere around the world trying to grow this Google group. And it's just through our connections. We're like, oh, this person, this person. So we're just going to keep adding to the group and make it huge. And what has been nice is I've been wanting to do a boot camp for my district and for GEG Ohio, but I can't do it alone because a boot camp is a lot of work. If you've ever planned one, I've never done it until now. It's a lot of work. But when you're able to bring in all the leaders from around the world, it becomes a little task. Instead of a huge, huge, giant task, it becomes little. And you're able to pull it off because you've got experts that are helping you. Like, I'm not the greatest with sheets, but my friend Luis, he is amazing. And he's doing that session, so I don't have to stress about it. I can focus on something else.
And isn't that what the Google Educator Groups are all about? Finding great professional development, finding great connections, making friends. And one of the people that I met through all these Google Educator Groups was Melissa. Melissa, talk to us a little bit about your experiences with the GEGs. What is happening down in the great state of Texas?
Well, it all started with my friend. She was like, "Hey, would you like to lead the GEG Texas?" I was like, "Okay, sure." I'm like Stephanie too. I was like, I kind of heard about them like a long time ago when they were on Google Plus groups, and so I kind of heard about them, but I really wasn't sure about what they were. But I knew it was going to be a way for me like to get connected with others. So I know I'm always looking for like others who I can bounce ideas on. So I told her, sure, yeah, I'll do it. Not really knowing like what I was committing to, but I'm telling you, like, since I said yes, I have been able to connect with so many people. And, I think I said it was like 2 weeks later, I guess that's what it was. I get an email from Stephanie saying, "Hey, do you want to join the global group that we're starting?" And again, I said, "Sure, this sounds great." And that has just like opened up a door to like so many connections. Like immediately after I said yes, Stephanie puts me in this Twitter chat with people from all over, and we talk to each other like I've known these people like forever. And like Stephanie, I think we've known each other maybe a month, but I feel like I've known her like forever, and I can like call her, "Hey, do you have an idea for this? Do you want to, what are your ideas?" It's what I needed. I wanted that place where I can feel connected and have being able to just to talk about technology integration, because we all have a passion for it. Now we have people who we can actually share and share ideas with. So it's amazing. It's really amazing.
So let's talk about what a Google Educator Group is, right? A lot of questions here. And even when we were trying to build the one for Connecticut, we've had a few meetings so far. The question is always, what is it? What are the rules? What are the expectations? Can you do everything? You had mentioned Eric. Eric does an amazing, amazing meeting every single, month, where he goes through all the new stuff. And I know we're looking at that going, we don't want to do that because it's already recorded. Like, he's doing it. What is a Google Education Group supposed to do? Like, what's the point here?
So I think it's just building community, however you want to do that. And I loved it because Georgina, she did a session and it was all about starting a GEG. And one of her biggest pushes was you got to find out what works for your community. Her community uses WhatsApp app. In America, we don't really use that unless you are going like overseas or something and you can't text.
Right.
So I thought that was interesting because I was like, if I use that in Ohio, nobody would join. And so you have to figure out, what does your community need? and then cater towards that. So she does a Tech Tuesday because they're new to technology. And so that was her way of giving back during COVID to help them feel more confident. In the UK, they've been doing Twitter chats. And then Darren and Ben do a short and sweet every Thursday, doing a different tech tip and inviting guests on. So it can be completely up to whatever your community needs. And all the requirement is that you do a GEG quarterly. So one every quarter. And that's not asking a whole lot. So you could, meet just quarterly, or you could do what Eric does and meet once a month, or you could do what Georgina does and meet every single week. It's totally flexible to whatever commitment you want to do. Mm-hmm. Or if you're free more over the summer, you could commit more to the summertime compared to the winter or August. So I love that flexibility that Google gives of just saying it's just quarterly. And then from there, you can decide. And then with this global group, you could join us and connect globally. So you can invite all your local GEGs onto these big events, because the more connections that we have, the better speakers we can get for free. The better, everything we can get for free, because Google Educator, you do have to not charge anything for it. And then also they have some branding things with their logos, but that's more an Abbott question.
Right. Where is he?
I'm the pretty one. I'm like, I just make it pretty.
So I totally get the fact that the GEGs are community driven. So then that brings up the question, how do you do it, right? Because if a Google Education Group only promotes on Twitter, that's not every single teacher out there that needs to build a community. And we know that the GEGs out there provide a great, Google group to start providing things. But what advice do you guys have for a Google Education Group, maybe the one in Connecticut, maybe the one globally, but how do you start to grab teachers and bring them into the community? Assuming they're on Twitter, assuming they're not on Twitter, social media side, what advice do you guys have to start building a GEG in your community?
Well, I like what Georgina says, like really ask your community, how do you want to connect? Because I've gone to one of her sessions too, where she learns from them. And so I'm still learning as a leader because, I haven't been one that long. So going to her sessions is really helping me to how am I going to drive this group? What is it going to be about? And how are we going to connect? So she does say, try the different social media sites, look at the time, see what works, and just find something that works for your community and really ask them, how can I help you? How can we work together? What's going to work for everyone?
And I know too, for us, we were a lot of teachers want the boot camps during the summer because they're ready to learn more. It's kind of a break. They finally have that 3 hours of a little bit of silence to take that test. And so that was our big push. I mean, we got 1,500 people signed up for level 1 boot camp.
Wow.
And that was just from all the GEGs pushing it to their local people, their districts, whoever. And hopefully it runs pretty smooth. I'm really excited about it. So far, it's been fun.
Where do we find out more information about this boot camp?
At our website at globalgeg.org.
I will certainly make sure that we have that over there in our show notes over at askthetechcoach.com. There's a lot of questions here about building community. And this is something that we were talking about at our last meeting. Is community just getting together to talk, much like this podcast is, on a topic? Or are the GEG meetings supposed to be news driven? Hey, did you see, here's a new slide feature, here's a new Gmail feature? Or is it supposed to be, let's get together once a month and we do a webinar? Obviously, I think the answer is yes to all those different things, but what are you guys seeing out there? What are you trying? I know not everybody can build a boot camp. What works when we're trying to build community? Because I think we can all agree everybody's busy.
I guess just showing that you care and providing, they also do a Google Meet. So I've been to a few of those and hey, just how are you doing? Just checking on you. I do. What the times that I have been able to go to those are really just nice. Just showing that you care about them, you care about their mental health, and how's their life going. Besides, hey, here's a new tech tool. It's just really building that community. I can't even say that word right now. Just showing how you care about them.
Now, Stephanie, you had mentioned some of the websites and hashtags. If I was out there on Twitter or any of the social medias, what are the popular hashtags that I want to do to make sure that the Google Educator Groups are out there? Where do I go?
I would first look for your own GEG group. So your own state, start locally. And if you can't find your local one, you could start it. And so you could come to Global GEG and we can help you. So our hashtag is Global GEG, and then we're at Global GEG too. But like I just search, GEG Ohio, and that popped up. If you just search whatever your GEG location is, there's also a website that Google is working on. I think it's almost complete, like it's already live, but they're still adding GEGs onto the map. So there's a big map you can search. I know before you'd find Ohio all the way in Washington. So you can get on now, and it's a lot easier to search for what you need in your own state.
And it's growing. Like every day I'm getting 5 requests, 10 requests joining, and they tell you what they need. Like I've had someone like from Africa, I want to start a GEG in Africa. I want help with that. So you're getting all kinds of requests. Or I'm a new teacher. I'm going to be a teacher. I'd like to learn from others. So I see all of those things. Or they just want to learn like together.
One of my favorite parts about the GEGs is that every week I get an amazing email, and it talks about all the great stuff that's coming up. It talks about the upcoming webinars, and that slide deck really keeps us up to date. Somebody's doing a really good job of putting that together, Steph.
Yeah. I start it, but then I share it with everybody. And I say, add your events, because I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And that helps me stay organized, because we have 40 some people, I think, in our group right now. And it's all on a huge Twitter chat. I wake up and there's 100 and some messages.
You're right.
So I'm like, okay, I spend half my morning reading these messages before I even get working. And then it's crazy throughout the whole day because somebody is always up.
You're right. And we're like, we don't want to miss that. Oh my goodness, I missed that. What deadline?
Yeah. And so that's our one way to know what's going on for the week. Because if we don't communicate that one way, we use StreamYard. So if we put in a StreamYard for this video at this time, we don't want it to be competitive with another event going on. So we also use Google Calendar to keep it all organized on the back end of just saying, okay, this is going on this date. You can have any of these other times. But even I think just our first month, because we've only been doing this for about a month, it's been a lot of growing pains. Oh, this doesn't work. Oh, we broke this. Oh, we broke the Google form because there's way too many responses. We're growing way too fast, but it's been a lot of fun just problem solving with people and then connecting with different people because everybody has their own strength. So I'm communicating with one of the leaders. His name's Adam, and he's like, oh, I can make this way easier for you. I can make it AI and make it automatic and have it do all this stuff. And I'm just I'm manually emailing people, copy paste, because I don't know how to do that. And he's like, let me make your life easier. It will take me a couple weeks. And I'm like, sure, but that's what's so amazing about this community is I have so many weaknesses, but somebody has so many more strengths to help me. And somebody's always up. So if I send a message that says, hey, is anybody on a computer? Can you do this? It's done in 5 minutes.
Yes, everybody's so quick.
That is absolutely awesome. Guys, we want you to know that the Google Educator Groups are out there. They are starting. They are thriving. They are doing some amazing things. And if you guys are interested in being out there, check it out over at Global. Say that one more time. Global.
Yeah.
What are we at here?
See, we're going to
globalgeg.org.
globalgeg.org. All the stuff is going to be in our show notes. But before I let you guys go, we just went through probably one of, if not the craziest school years. And I know, for us at the time of our recording, this is my last week of school. The kids are done at the end of this week, and I'm looking ahead already for what the future is. I'm already having meetings with my district that says, this is what happens if we're physical. This is what happens if we're virtual. This is what happens if we're hybrid. Talk to us a little bit about from where you guys are. What was this year like What are you looking forward to this summer, and what are you looking forward to next year? How was everything for you, and how is everything for you guys? Steph, I'll let you go first.
So it was March 16th because it was my husband's birthday when all this happened. And we were supposed to have a PD with teachers on that Monday, like it was a Monday. And we got, text messages on Sunday, hey, there's no school tomorrow. We can't go in. And so everything quickly switched to Google Meet. And it was crazy. I've never led a PD on Google Meet until COVID. It was like everybody needed to know how to use it. I was trying to find extensions. I never needed extensions for Google Meet. And so I'm looking for extensions. I'm sending messages to my friend Clay, like, I need this extension made because my teachers need, grid view like they want in Zoom, but we can't use Zoom because we don't have it, like all this issues. And it was insane. I mean, I was probably working, I work crazy hours because I love my job, but I was working overtime, just trying to get everything organized. And we were a pretty good district. Like we've been 1-to-1 for 4 years, and a lot of my teachers were okay, but those teachers that were kind of slower to jump on board had to finally jump on board. And so I was giving a lot of my attention to them and providing as much resources as I could. And then like troubleshooting with students through Google Meet, like, I need to see your screen. I need to do that, it was so hard problem solving simple issues. Because you're like, is it the user? Is it their Wi-Fi connection? Is it the website? Like there's so many different factors that it was just like, okay, what is wrong with this issue? And then it was also kind of nice because my teachers knew how to use like Edpuzzle. They knew how to use all these different tools prior to COVID. So it was finally like taking them a step further. And how do we use Edpuzzle to differentiate? So duplicating that video and adding different questions or adding something to support your EL learners. How do we get parents to have those conversations when they're checking Google Classroom with their student? And so it was a lot more meaningful conversations with my teacher rather than just focused on the tool. Mm-hmm. And next year, I don't know what it's going to look like. We have 21 different plans of what it could be. So hopefully we get a little bit more direction, but I think we're ready for whatever does take place.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds very similar to what we dealt with here. How did things work out in Texas for you, Melissa?
The same. Like as soon as spring break was over, we immediately went into action. Like, what are we going to do? I know we're going to use Google Classroom. We're going to use Seesaw. How are we going to make sure teachers are ready to go? So we immediately went into online training, but that was hard, Stephanie. I understand what you're talking about because we did all of ours in Google Meets. And like at first, like it was challenging. I was doing trainings and then I kept kicking myself out of the training. I was like, oh my goodness. So it was a learning process for all of us, like a lot of grace in learning this new way. So I'm just excited. I hope when we go back, I know that we've all grown and we can't go back to the way we've done because right. Digital learning it's beneficial for kids. And I really see that a lot of teachers have realized that through this whole process, like getting Google certified, that has been a big deal. Like at my school, it's something that was my goal. And so I pushed that throughout the year. And so far, like I'm up to 11 teachers who have gotten level 1 certified and 3 have applied for trainer. Like they started off with 0. So wow. I'm really excited. I know. So they're waiting to get their results back and they're actually, and then I got them to be my captains on this new GEG. So like they've grown tremendously.
Melissa, you're awesome. It's crazy, right? Like I was thinking about this. I just wrote a blog post about this. When I started at the beginning of the year, was living in New Jersey, driving 80 miles to get to school. Never did I think that at the end of the year, we would finish off with 14 weeks off and I'd be living in Connecticut. So much stuff has gone on in the last 2 or 3 months, let alone the last 10 months. It's amazing what's going on. It's amazing that we've all kind of made it out. We want to hear from you guys. If you're out there listening, first of all, thank you guys. I always say this. Thanks for making TeacherCast part of your professional development community. Thanks for making the Google Educator Groups part of you guys' professional learning community. We want to hear from you. We want to connect with you guys. Steph, one more time, where do we find out more information about the great stuff that you're doing? And also, What are those links again for the Google Educator Groups?
So to find me, I'm on Twitter. That's probably the best way to reach me. I'm addicted. So my handle is at Mrs. Howe24, and then you can find Global GEG at the handle is Global GEG, or you can also email info@globalgeg.org.
Excellent. And Melissa, how can we find out more about the great stuff that you're doing, and how do we get sucked into the world of Texas coaching and Google Educator grouping and all that good stuff?
Well, my Twitter handle is at Summerford Stars, and then you can also find me at melissa.tools. And so I do have links on there for both.
I love that URL. I just got to tell you, I was looking at it here in the show notes. I love your website address. That is awesome.
My friend helped me develop that. We were like, what can I call it? And she's like, my friend Brooke, she's like, how about melissa.tools? And it was available and it was cheap domain. I wanted Summerford Stars, but the word stars is so expensive.
Well, that wraps up this bonus episode of Ask the Tech Coach. You can, of course, check us out every single Monday morning as we drop our Ask the Tech Coach show live with Susan Vincent and myself. All information about the show can be found over at AskTheTechCoach.com as part of the TeacherCast Educational Network. Ladies, I want to say thank you so much for being a part of this show. Please come back on any time, and I would love to continue these conversations with you guys and other leaders of Google Education Groups. If you guys are out there building a GEG or have some great ideas for what I can do in Connecticut, I would love to hear from you guys as we go through the summertime and especially as we go into the next school year. And that wraps up for this episode of the TeacherCast Educational Network. My name is Jeff Bradbury, reminding you guys to keep up the great work in your classrooms and continue sharing your passions with your students.
You've been listening to Ask the Tech Coach, hosted by Jeff Bradbury of the TeacherCast Educational Network. Please reach out to the show with all of your questions on Twitter at AskTheTechCoach or online at www.askthetechcoach.com. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. And please take a moment to write a review in the App Store.